Hi, I'm Latham Thomas, founder of Mama Glow and visiting assistant professor of the practice of gender and sexuality studies at Brown University. And I'm excited to be here with Blavity to talk all things maternal mental health and how we can optimize our mental well-being. So Mama Glow is a maternal health and education platform that services birthing individuals along the childbearing continuum. We also educate and train people who want to become doulas and work alongside birthing folks and families in their most powerful yet vulnerable time in their lives when they're on the perinatal continuum. And in this work, we've been able to train over 2,500 doulas globally since 2018. And I'm pleasured and honored to be able to also educate the next generation of birth workers at the university level, where the Mama Glow doula training is embedded as a course at Brown University. We have a lot of students who are so interested in impacting on maternal health outcomes. And so I'm really grateful to be able to be at the helm of an organization that is holding steadfast to that commitment. It is so important for us to have Black doulas because we need to see people who we're in community with servicing alongside us. We need folks who can advocate and educate and support us, who have shared lived experience, who have similar values, and also who really understand the unique needs that we have as individuals who are navigating this time. You know, not everyone has, obviously Blackness is not a monolith, right? And so all of us have had different experiences and are impacted in different ways. When we think about healthcare and mental health care, which we're focused on specifically, this month, right? It's so important to have people who also understand the unique ways in which Black people experience mental health challenges. A lot of the things that are happening in our lives that we subvert don't show up as necessarily as something that can be diagnosed. Like a lot of us are underdiagnosed or misdiagnosed. And so having a doula who is there to help you navigate the challenges of pregnancy, but then of the demands of new parenthood and the isolation that can happen as a result of new parenthood. This is a person who can ensure that you transition more easily into that new period of your life. And so having a Black doula is good because that is a person who's also thinking about those unique needs, really understanding how marginalized folks are treated, and somebody who also has that cultural congruence, right? That you can depend upon, hopefully, as you're moving through your pregnancy and birth experience. Yes, so Black mothers face unique challenges during pregnancy and childbirth. One of the things that happens a lot that people will report feeling dismissed, ignored, feelings of neglect often surface, feeling coerced or bullied, and experiences that are categorized along this sort of bias continuum, right? And so things that are experienced as racism inside of the hospital and care system. And for many of us, if we think about the statistics that we see in maternal deaths in this country, Black women are most impacted. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely than white women to die during childbirth or due to childbirth-related causes. And so when you think about that, we are really, at risk, and not because we have different biology, not because something's wrong with us inherently, but because of institutional racism. And so we need to really look at how our systems have undersupported and thwarted care for Black women. And we need to really focus on delivering a safe and dignified, affordable, respectful maternity care to all birthing persons, but especially it's important for Black people to feel this experience. I was talking about this to my doula students, and we explore these conversations all the time. Just the way that we should be thinking differently about how we design care and where doulas, show up along the care continuum, and how that can also be so affirming for people if they make a choice that really aligns with their goals and their needs. So if I'm someone who would prefer, for instance, to be in a hospital setting, really understanding the limitations to that experience, the benefits to that experience. But also if I'm someone who is really interested in a home birth, for instance, right? Really educating myself and understanding what's possible and available to me in an out-of-hospital birth setting, right? So I think that these are really important options that doulas can surface for people. They can help people feel like they have access to choice and to sovereignty and to education. And these are going to be things that really help us to feel fortified as we navigate the pregnancy experience. And it's important to feel that, right? It's important to feel safe. It's important to feel dignity. It's important to feel connected. And doulas can really be helpful in ensuring that regardless of what the birth outcome is, that their clients feel that safety and that support. I see the role of doulas in the Black community, but also just more broadly being one of stakeholders and community builders and organizers, right? And so I believe that doulas can show up in this space, in this moment that we're living through right now, right? If we think about how we can utilize the workforce of doulas, not only to service their clients, but also to advocate, to be impacting and influencing policy, to be in rooms where legislation is being decided upon. Like when we think about what needs to be passed right now, we have the reintroduction of the Black Maternal Health Omnibus Act. We need every doula to understand the impact of that legislation and be able to help advance it. So I see doulas being more engaged politically, more engaged in terms of policy and legislation. And then also, we need to ensure that doulas are getting paid. One of the things that really happens so often to Black women is that we are overworked and we are underpaid for work that is expected of us, right? And that's a lot of it's emotional and very hands-on. And so there's a lot of unpaid labor that we don't get compensated for. This is true across the board, but this is really true in spaces of healing arts, of domestic work, of healthcare. And doula work is one of those areas where people put their heart and soul into it and are oftentimes underpaid and undercompensated for their efforts. So we really want to fight also to ensure that doulas are getting proper compensation as they move through their career paths, doing this work so it's sustainable. That's work that we've been doing in New York State to advance policies and legislation to get the Medicaid reimbursement levels to at least a living wage, but they should be beyond. We believe in a thriving wage for doulas. So I see doulas fighting for that more. Being on the front lines, having these conversations and being at the table to determine what a doula benefit would look like, right? It shouldn't just be people who are in policy, but people who are actually doing the work, right? And then I also see doulas reclaiming rest. One of the things that I love that I see happening in so many spaces in Blavity and 2190 is just this this reclamation of rest, right, that Black women are standing inside of. And I love this for doulas, right? We did this report called Birth Worker Burnout, which really looks at the challenges that we experience systemically, and the overwork that leads to burnout in our communities, and which leads doulas to leave the workforce. And if we have doulas leaving the workforce, then that means we're not going to have doulas out on the front lines servicing families in their time of need. So for us, as we think about this, I'm always so excited at the opportunity for us to, advance conversations about how we provide well care to our doula community and other birth workers to ensure that they are well taken care of, well supported in their times of outside of work, right? So I feel like doulas are really going to, we're already here, we've been here, but I think that we're going to see a lot of areas where doulas are leading the charge. Yes, I'm so excited to talk to you about the 2023 Doula Expo by Mama Glow, which is the first and only of its kind festival dedicated to doulas and families, caregivers, and those who are in the space of the reproductive health continuum, supporting individuals and families. It's basically Coachella for birth workers and families. It is an incredible space to be in, where it's a festival. This year it's 2 days on May 20 and 21. And there's content throughout the day. There's entertainment. There is stage moments so people can watch, things happening on the main stage. There are different booth activations, as well as lounge spaces that are these customized branded experiences from some of our partners, which include CVS Health, Carol's Daughter, Coterie, which is a diaper company, Nanit, which is a technology company supporting new families, LV, which does breast pumps as well as pelvic floor trainers, and Bobby, which is a formula company that's doing a lot of work around restorative justice with us at Mama Glow, and a bunch of other amazing brands, including Kate Spade New York, who's creating this incredible mental health healing house where people can experience therapy. So as we think about, maternal mental health this month and the importance of amplifying that, we will have a dedicated space for people to experience the support of care providers, there. You can even, if you're pregnant, get an ultrasound on site. We have this incredible brand called My Bump My Baby, who will be doing ultrasounds. And so it's just going to be a really great day. And it's at Hudson Yards, which is sort of the new development on Manhattan's West Side. It's mostly designed around a shopping center, but there's a lot of outdoor parks and things in this area. So we're taking over a 60,000 square foot space inside of Hudson Yards. And so it's very easy to get to. Hope folks will come because it will be a good time. We have Tatiana Ali as our MC. And so she'll be able to kind of help us keep the flow for the day. We got DJ Rashida, who's spinning on the ones and twos. So it'll be really amazing, and hope that folks can come and just learn more at doulaexpo.com. That I hope that the Doula Expo by Mama Glow will be a space of celebration and restoration for Black doulas. Our theme this year is Birth to the Future, and how we're thinking about birth and reproductive justice is through this lens of Afrofuturism, and thinking through how we engage in solution as a community, and what it also looks like to dream into and envision a future of our own design. And so what I hope our community of doulas and other people who are attending, but especially the Black doula community, comes away with is an expanded vision for the future, restored hope, a sense of healing, a sense of community, joy, connection, new friendships and relationships. I hope these are all things that folks feel connected to. For our point of view, another thing that's really important is, alongside the major brands, that there is the integration of smaller, brands, including our doula community, who are small businesses, and being able to have those people exhibit at the Doula Expo alongside, a CVS Health or Kate Spade, right, is really important. And so we did launch a small business subsidy for people who are not venture backed, but folks who are just solopreneurs or smaller companies that need to be in this space to help platform their businesses, but would not necessarily be able to afford to exhibit. And so we're underwriting some of the expense of these folks being able to come, which is part of our commitment also to the community. And so I really do hope that, folks are able to connect with and make opportunities for themselves at the event as a result of that type of support as well. Yes, so even if you're not a doula or even connected in any way in birth work or reproductive health work, you can support those who are committed to this work, because we are in a crisis in this country. We're definitely in a health crisis. We're in a maternal health crisis. We're in a mental health crisis. And doulas who are doing this work are standing in the gap. And what I mean by that is they're addressing policy gaps. They're addressing informational gaps, cultural and systemic gaps that create health disparities, discomfort, and really sever us from our ability to be able to feel like we're moving freely and informed, in this process. Doulas need to be supported as they do this work. They need to be properly compensated as they do this work. They need to be compensated on time. They need lower caseloads and more support. They need more administrative resources. They need more educational resources when it comes to banking. A lot of people who do this work are underbanked, right, and underinsured. And so we need to just ensure that people who are doing this work that is so necessary, so important, have resources, right? And so there's ways that you can do it. You can support someone by investing in their education. So you can provide doula scholarships to organizations that train doulas. A lot of organizations have funds. At the Mama Glow Foundation, we have a scholarship fund, and so people can make donations of any size, and that goes to support the education scholarships for doulas as well as midwives. But also, you can support families that are in need of doula support, right? You can contact doula organizations and contribute to a fund that will support the matching and payment for doula services for a family in need. And you can also, lift up this, not only the services by purchasing them, but you can also amplify people's names through social media. You can amplify folks through hiring them to do other things outside of doula work, including teaching, educating, workshops, right? So there's lots of ways that we can utilize the services and support. But on a macro level, we can advocate, right, through policy. We can advocate through legislation. We can, continue to beat the drum for the Black Maternal Health Omnibus Act, which is critically important to get passed, right? We can contact our local electeds and tell them about, what we believe we should be doing to advance maternal health care, right? So all of these actions really do help support the work of doulas and midwives, physicians on the ground, right? So, but really amplifying and making space for doulas and community is so important because we're in a place where, again, not everybody widely accepts the work. Even though people might say like, oh yeah, we love doulas, but it's really challenging also for doulas to navigate spaces because they're not always accepted. And so the more folks are, standing alongside us, and then we can increase our numbers and increase our supporters, but also increase the visibility of this work. It's so important. And that's really also what we do at Mama Glow. In relation to the Doula Expo, it is a celebration. It is a moment of lifting up and elevating this work to not only center doulas in the conversation about the work that we do in community, but also to ensure that people understand, right, the importance and the importance of this work, but also that we continue to lift up and support people who have been doing this work all along, right? Giving back to community, pouring into organizations and community, Black female-led organizations, Black female-led enterprise. There are so many people who are solving problems, right? Not exploiting them. And so I think that is so important for people to look to the organizations who have been here, who have Black leadership, right? That is critical, Black leadership, because we already know how to solve problems in our community. We have been doing the work to solve problems in our community. People are just now finding out about things outside of the community and trying to bring in solutions instead of listening to us and uplifting our solutions and providing resources to amplify our solutions. And so that is also what's needed right now. Diversity and inclusion is key. I think that for us, it's sort of just embedded in the framework of our organization, how we operate, the makeup of the organization, who's here, who's doing the work, and who's actually on the ground, right? Like helping to provide these solutions in community. But I think it's important when we get people coming into the course, right? We get a variety of individuals who come and of all backgrounds. Most of them are people of color identifying. And then we have white folks who come in a posture of service, of listening, of allyship, of accomplishing, right? Which I think is so important as well, because we need people who carry privilege to utilize that privilege to unlock power, right? And so that's a piece that we're really, that we really also feel is important to elevate, that there are some voices that can stand alongside ours and amplify, but there's work to be done, right? We have to ensure that people are doing the work they need to do to be in these spaces with us, that we can actually be safe inside of those spaces together, right? I think another thing in terms of diversity and equity and inclusion is really like leaning into anti-racist work, anti-bias work, work that like allows us to really dive deep into anti-Blackness and really look to see where on an institutional level we see this, where we see this work headed, but also where it's needed, right? Where can we insert on an institutional level a voice, curriculum, workshopping, and also solutions, right, to navigate and make spaces more safe, more friendly, more hospitable, more welcoming, and more diverse, right? And how do we, make sure that there's more of us in a space? Like, how do we make sure that when a door opens for us, that we let other people through? And so that to me is also very important as we navigate this space. But also there is a keen notion that I have, that as much as we do this diversity and inclusion work, it's important for us to remember that we are operating inside of a system that has been working this way for hundreds of years and functioning this way out of design, right? And so we also need to be aware that we're not going to workshop away racism. We're not going to take a class and then suddenly it's like, great, we checked that off the list. We can now get back to our values. But understanding that part of what we see the commitment being is educating and impacting on the next generation of birth workers and people who are going to show up and actually change the culture of care through how they show up in medical school and residency and on the floors of labor and delivery. Who are these people? These are young people that I get to teach, right? That I'm teaching, that are medical anthropologists that I advise, or OB-GYN students, or pre-med students, or bioethics students, right? That I get to encounter with, mentor, and help shape, right? Before they get into medical school or while they are on their path to medical school, some of them. And so for me, I feel like that is where we can focus, a lot of our energy. And that's what we do at Mama Glow is intergenerationally, we look at diversity and inclusion to expand, to also look at our elders and the gifts that they can bring to this conversation, the wisdom they can bring, our young people and the wisdom that they can bring, and the learnings that they need to help shape and reconfigure a system that isn't working for us, right? So I feel like it's a multi-pronged approach that includes and depends upon real ingenuity, right? To make it onto the other side, but knowing that it's going to be one of those brick by brick processes. It does take a lot of work. Yes, I love the idea of giving advice. But what I would say to someone who is feeling this inkling inside they should be doing birth work, I want to say to you that it is time. We need you. Answer that call, right? It is, this work is a calling, right? It's not like a passion, which people call it a lot. Oh, it's my passion. It's not really a passion because passions and our passionate pursuits are really fun and exciting sometimes, and also easeful in a way, right? But callings are inconvenient. Callings are inconvenient, and it means that you might feel the call in your bones to show up in this work, and you have no way to get the education. You don't know where to start. You don't know how you would work with a client. There's all kinds of things, right, that aren't lined up, but you feel deep inside that you're supposed to be doing this work. And that's what happened for me. I had to answer because there was this feeling inside. And so my advice is to listen to those whispers, listen to that urge, whatever is showing up for you. If you're listening to me now and something was telling you, you know what, you should be doing this, Continue that path. Sign up for doula training. Get the training, not just so that you can be in service of others, get it for yourself. Do the work so that you can be better informed, so that you can be on a pathway to healing, so that you can be in a dialogue with your ancestors on this path. I'm so charged when I talk about this, because we have been able to invite in and support and touch and be in community with thousands of people who were thinking about this very thing. Should I do it? Should I become a doula? And it was life affirming for them. And I can say that our training program at Mama Glow is transformative, and it is about transcendence. And it is a journey that you're on with a community. And so if you are seeking community, and if you're seeking to learn and to grow and to get skills that support you and your nervous system and easefulness and rest, and is about decolonization, right? And is leaning into frameworks that are supportive and that center our unique experiences as marginalized folks, then come hang out with us at Mama Glow, because that's what we're doing in our training programs. That is what I'm doing at the university level, at Brown University and other institutions, right? This is what's available to you. So that's my advice, is to go, to listen to the call. Do not ignore it, because it doesn't go away. If you feel like this is time, it is time. Doesn't mean that it's this moment, but it does mean it's time, right? Which means that you take the steps necessary to get on the path to make it happen for yourself, okay? And do not let what you perceive to be potential impediments, right? Like finances and things like that, because there are scholarships, there's all kinds of ways to make it happen. So do not tell yourself no. Do not tell yourself no, okay? And just listen. And when you listen and when you answer the call, it's like doors open, because the universe rewards courage. So be courageous and take the leap, because it's time.